Hi, it's John from Crafts by John UK. Today I am going to make you a quick colouring video, show you how I've coloured this card. It's basically 3 cute little carol singers and a sentiment. It's just a panel that I've stamped that I will mount on a card when I'm back home in the UK. I'm on holiday in Spain at the moment, so I've taken just a few stamped images with me and a pile of pens. I've got my Arteza watercolour pens and a watercolour brush, a piece of trusty kitchen towel, and in this video I will show you how I've coloured these 3 delightful little carol singers in various shades, give them lots of colour and pop, and it might be helpful for people who are on their colouring journey, not too confident with how to use pens or mediums that they've got. So hopefully you might find this useful, but anyway, that's today's little project. Okay, so I've got my stamped image here. This is this cute little 3 carol singers, which I stamped in VersaFine Black Onyx. And I've got a sentiment stamp here from, I think it's a woodware set, I can't remember. I stamped it when I was back in the UK. And then the other thing I've done is I've heat embossed this with clear emboss. And I don't know if you can see the shininess on that, but that has given this a very glossy effect and also lifted it slightly, which means when I go to colour it, it will actually colour well. Now I'm doing this video from Spain, I'm on holiday, so I haven't got all my stuff with me, but I have got my Arteza pens. So I'm just going to use these. These are watercolour pens with brush tips, which I use a lot of the time. And again, apologies that the light is slightly strange as well. I'm working with a really funny old lamp. But anyway, these are the Arteza real brush pens. They're watercolour, and you just basically use those with a water pen, and that's how I do it. I colour very quickly with these, and I really like using them. So I haven't really planned out what colours I'm going to use, but I'm imagining that this girl in this dress or this coat is going to be pink, and probably like a pink and cream maybe. So I would maybe use that quite bright pink, and let's have a look, find a sort of maybe actually a kind of light brown. So I'm thinking she's going to be coordinated in pinks and browns. This one looks a bit boring to me, so I think she's going to be kind of olive green. We'll call her Olive. And this one over here, just for a bit of contrast, we'll probably give her like a turquoisey and pink theme, I reckon. So I've got my pen. So basically I'm just going to start. Now, I hope you can see this okay, but this is a quick process. So basically I've decided I'm going to do the body of the coat in probably the brown, and do all the fluffy bits in the pink. I could do it the other way around, and that's probably how it would be in real life, but the issue is then I'm going to have hardly any pink and loads of brown. I want it the other way around. So I'm going to do the brown on the body and the pink on the fluff. Now, these pens, you don't need a lot of ink. So all I do, I tend to dab around the edge, and anywhere that there's kind of like highlighting. The stamp actually gives you a clue as to where you should kind of go. And then what I use is water to just pull that colour out. So I'm just going around with that pink. You can see I've done that. I've not coloured it all in. It's not a flat, boring blob of colour. It's just an edge. And then what I'll do is I'll get my water pen, which is clean. It's got water on it. I'm not squeezing any water out or anything. I'm literally just going to go in. I've got my trusty piece of kitchen towel next to me, so I can take any excess water off the pen. And basically, I'm just going to dab over what I've just coloured. And what you'll find is that will pull the colour from where you've put it on the page, and you'll end up with nice texture, where you've got darker on the outside, and then you've got a lighter, same colour on the inside. Now, the more you work the colour, the more it blends. So it kind of depends how much blending you want. If you want it quite pale, keep going. And what you'll see I'm doing is I'm just doing a little bit of colour, and then I'm dabbing it onto the kitchen towel. There we go. So you can see what I mean. I've now got quite a fluffy pink edge, and then a kind of pinky bit in the middle. I'm kind of holding this up and hoping that you can actually see what the hell I'm doing. There we go. And then I'm going to just use that same technique over the whole thing, basically. So this is hair, so I'll colour that in a hair colour. But again here, I'm just going around the edge. Just giving that a little bit of colour. There we go. And then working it with the brush. I usually go around the edge that I've coloured first, just to kind of get it wet, and then just using the end of the brush, dab it, basically. You do need to take the water off quite regularly, otherwise you'll find you're taking too much water onto the ink. But then it kind of blends it out a little bit too much. Now, when things dry, you see a hard line. I don't know if you can see that. There's a tiny little hard line there. I'm going to actually just blend that out again. So I'm going to go in with the water brush there, just on that specific area, and kind of blend it into the bit above it. And this, you sometimes just get this when it dries, but it's quite easy to fix. There we go, so there's my next bit. This is looking a little bit harsh here, so I'm just gonna go in there, dab it a few times, and that'll just calm that down. There we go, and let's do now the mittens, or the arms, and the bottom. Now, I've just gone outside the stamping there, you can see. This is not a problem, because it's water, or water-based, we can very easily take that off. Clean your brush, and just go over it, and then just dab it with a clean piece of kitchen towel. It's gone. This is what I love about these are so forgiving. So again, same technique, dabbing, dotting. This is particularly good. I find these pens are brilliant for anything in nature, any animal or plants, flowers, stuff that's natural, because it gives you kind of a variegated effect, and things in nature aren't blocks of colour, they aren't perfect. So, and this is why I think they work really well for that sort of stuff. Got a little stray hair there, which I'm going to take out. And then this last bit down the bottom. There we go. So you can see how quick that is. It's a really quick way of colouring. If any area you don't like and you want a bit more colour, you can always go back in with the pens, either directly on with the pen, or wait for it to dry and go around it again, and then go around with the brush. There we go. So there's our layer of pink. I'm now going to get my brown, and I'm just going to, this brown is a bit kind of used and a bit worn, to be honest, so I have to be a little bit careful with it. But I'm literally just going to lay a few bits down. There we go, because we want it to be quite light anyway. Apologies if you can hear dogs barking. There we go, I'm just going around with the brown. There we go, I just want like a slight hint of colour. There you go, and that is a very slight hint. There we go. Now, I've got a little bit at the bottom here. I'm just going to do it a little bit of colour on here, just using the residual that I've got on the brush. The hat, I'm going to do the same brown, so I'm just going to go in there, and then again with the brush. And if you end up with some areas slightly darker than the other, that's fine, because this is fabric and it wouldn't be perfect. So that's fine. I haven't done the pom-pom. I'm kind of guessing that would be the same colour as the rest. So I'm just going to blob a little bit of pink on there, and then smooth that in using the same technique. Now, girl's face, obviously we want a kind of skin colour. I tend to use this peach quite a lot. There we go. Sorry, I do not know what is going on with the dogs. Something has clearly upset them. And then just to give her a little bit more, I'm just going to do one side of her eyelids and then kind of blend that colour in. It just creates quite an interesting effect. There you go. In the eye, what I usually do in the eye on these little characters is I do a little bit of blue on one side and again pull it across. So start on the other side, and when you get to this side you'll find it will thin that blue out quite a lot. Take the excess off on your kitchen towel and then the same on the other side. This blue's probably a little bit darker than I would normally use, but still get the same effect. You find it dries and you've got a lot more colour one side than the other. It just gives it kind of like a 3D effect. Now, I've noticed that I've missed this little bit. I'm not actually sure what that is. Unless it's a candle. Is she maybe holding a candle? I'm not really sure. I don't actually know what that is, so I'm just going to colour it in the same colour. I think it might be a candle, but it doesn't look very candle-like to me. It's not exactly a candle shape. There we go. And you can always go back in, put a little bit more texture onto the thing. Now, I'm going to give her yellow hair. So, because I want that to be quite bold, I'm actually just going to colour it directly with the brush. I didn't want to use brown because I've used brown for the actual outfit. And then shoes-wise, being a stylish girl, I think she would have probably some pinky shoes. But I'm going to say that they're going to be a bit brighter, so I'm going to just go around the edges with those and then blend that colour in. There we go. So she is coloured. You can see we've already got one of our little figures now. Obviously with her pink fluff and pink fluff everywhere pretty much. I need to do something with those trousers though, because it's definitely crying out to me that there's no colour on them. I don't really know what they are, whether they're tights or trousers or what. But anyway. There we go. So you can see now she's really coloured and she looks really cute. I might go back in and do a few more highlights on the pink, but for the moment she'll do. Okay, so that's our first little character. I'm going to just push those pens out of the way. Now the second one, who I'm quite unfairly saying looks a bit dull, I'm going to colour her in some plain colours. So she's mainly got a big book here, but she has got this coat on behind. So I'm just going to go in with the green on the coat, and I'm going to use the water brush to just kind of pull that green across so that we have a bit of texture and a bit of contrast. And then at the top, well, let's give her a green top on her hat. And then I'll just brush that out like this, so it ends up nice and dark at the sides. But then what I might do is give her another colour, I think probably purple. So let's just go around the edges, and then we'll give her a purple scarf as well. Again, in with a water brush. This is also a very cheap way of colouring because you don't actually end up using as much ink. If you do it with alcohol markers, you find that they soon kind of run out. This, because you're only using the ink fairly sparingly, goes a long way. And we have to think about these things as card makers because there are two hobbies. One is buying the stuff to make cards, and the other is actually getting to make cards with it. Okay, and then we're going to give her a purple hat to match, because although she's a bit dull, she is quite coordinated, and she's also going to have a purple bobble. Okay, so going to leave quite a lot of colour on that one. Just going to put a little bit more purple on there. And a little bit more purple on there. Okay, now trousers wise, let's have a think. What colours have we got? Let's maybe go for it like a mauvey, different colour. There we go. So I've actually coloured the whole lot on that, but I will still go over it with my water brush just to give it a bit more texture. And I think she's going to be fairly plain in her shoes, so she's going to be brown. That is actually chamomile, that colour is called. And we don't want them to be just a blob of colour, so kind of dotting, making a white area in the middle where the reflection would be. Her book, what colour should we do the book? Well, we need to do her face first of all. And her eyelids. So let's get a bit of colour on there. There we go. It doesn't matter if it's not perfectly coloured. It kind of gives the character more character. And then we're going to give her brown hair. So I'm going to just go in with a basic brown. And actually colour that in solidly. There's a tiny little sliver of hair there. Now actually, because I've got the brown in my hand, I'm just going to use that brown to do the eyelids. And again, same technique, go across. It just gives you a little bit of colour on one side. We're going to give her green eyes. So just a tiny little bit of green. There we go. And then her book, we want a kind of a booky kind of colour, which, God, goodness, maybe a grey, I guess, a dark grey maybe. Yeah, let's do that. So I've coloured most of that, but I will just go over it with the water pen. There we go. And then I'm just going to use the residual ink that I've got on the brush to actually do the pages. She has got some gloves on, so let's just use similar colour, but maybe just use the actual basic colour. I think this needs a little bit more, and maybe here too. And that's the good thing about these, you can add more and more. If you see something that doesn't quite look right, you can just keep adding. You do need to make sure you've got a decent quality paper underneath. This is a 300 GSM watercolour paper. So she is now coloured. What I will just do is just go into the hair and just give it a bit of a texture. So she's now got colour, as you can see. So we've got our grey of the book, we've got the green and purple of the dress. I'm just noticing I've missed a tiny little bit here, so I'm just gonna, and that's the thing. While you're doing this, pick it up, have a good look at it. Just make sure that you've coloured everywhere you think you have. Here, like on the hat, I'm just noticing here on the rim, maybe I've missed a little bit. So I'm just going to go in with it again. And then there, again. As long as you clean your brush. Now, that book is very solid in colour. It needs a bit of something else because books are not that clean and tidy. I'm going to go down the spine with a blue, and then I'm just going to kind of fade that out just to give it a little bit more texture. There we go. And that just gives it a bit more, take some off, so you get a lighter effect towards the edge, darker effect in the middle. It just gives it a bit more texture, a bit more life. You can always add a bit more. But what we're trying to do here is kind of create realism. There we go. So that'll do for that character, I think. And then the third one, I said we were going to go kind of turquoise and pink, which is quite bold, but hey. So she's going to have kind of a turquoisey jacket. That's a sleeve, so that would be blue. Yeah, that's all the turquoise. Well, that's not very vibrant, that colour, I have to say. I think we need a bit more colour than that. The other thing you can do is lay this colour down on an acrylic block. I don't actually have one here, so I'm working on a glass table. I'm actually just put some on directly onto the glass table, which I'll just wipe off at the end. Excuse me. There we go. So that's given us a slightly darker kind of turquoise to work with. Again, I think she's a bit stylish. So I'm going to give her a matching turquoise on her scarf. Now I've got the sneezers, and I'm going to do her earmuffs as well in a kind of a pale turquoise. There we go. But I think we need a bit more colour because it's a bit pale, so I'm just going to go straight in with the actual colour. And you can see some of these, the brush tip, I don't know, and that's in focus, there we go. You can see that one is a bit rough. Others of them have stayed absolutely perfect with a point. It kind of doesn't matter, don't get hung up about that. Mine are in a real state. These are the Arteza ones. I bought the set of 96. They're probably maybe 3 years old. I'm still using the originals. Some of them are a bit dried up, and some of them are a bit splayed and a bit kind of rough, but I'm still using them regularly. So absolutely, you can keep going with them. Right, so that's her blue. We said we were going to go with the pink, quite something vibrant. Let's do her scarf in that really vibrant colour. This is neon pink, and it's one that I love. It's real fun. So we'll do her, well, let's just do the scarf that colour, and then we'll find another colour for the jacket. So I'm just kind of rubbing that out a little bit, just to give it a bit of variation. Take some colour off on your kitchen towel, and then just give it a bit of texture. There we go. So that's that colour. So we need another colour now for her jacket. So I'm thinking maybe a sort of an orangey colour. There we go, that's quite like a dark orange. And now I've just realised that's the other part of the scarf. So that was the neon pink, I think. And that's another good tip as well. It's always useful to keep the pins you've just used close to you, in case you realise, like I just did, that you missed a bit. There we go. And then what was the other colour? It was that turquoisey blue, wasn't it? Just that one. Yeah. And that's the thing, if you put them back in the packet, you might sometimes look at the packet and think, oh great, what colour was that? There we go. Now, she is ringing a bell, I believe, in which case we kind of want to create a gold effect for the bell. So I'm going to go in, first of all, with a yellow. And then I'm going to find an orange. There we go. then kind of just merge the two together. Her hand, I mean, I guess it could be skin, although most of them do seem to be wearing gloves. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt and make that skin. And then while I've got the skin colour, I'm just gonna, same again. That's with the peach. There we go, and then I'm going to just use a bit of on the eyes. That was a sort of a pinky, light pinky colour. I love these little characters. This was an unbranded stamp from Temu, I think it was. So I don't actually know the brand, I'm afraid. I saw it and just fell in love with it and thought, oh, I've got to have it. So, right, I'm just going to give her a little bit of blue on the eyes. And that went on the lid there, but I can just mark that out. There we go. And then her hair colour, let's go for something a bit different. What have we got that we haven't really used? Maybe give her a blonde. Okay, so that's that, and then I'm going to give her a bit of orange as well. And then just blend that in. There we go. That's how you get a kind of a variegated hair effect. And obviously I'm pulling my brush strokes kind of in the direction of what's been stamped. Now her feet we need to just do something with. Let's give her kind of pink boots. I haven't cleaned my brush, so it kind of melds in, and then I'm just going to colour that in some indistinguishable colour because there's not a lot of definition around what the trousers are. There's a little bit there that I'm missing, so I'm just going to take that colour off my brush and go in there. These two are bothering me because they're toggles, so I'm just going to put a little bit of colour there. I'm just going to put a little bit more on her eyelids. And then blend that in as well. And obviously you can add shading if you want more, so like up here on the hairline, maybe the skin tone would be a little bit darker. You can add a bit of pink in there. Pretty much do whatever you want. Keep kind of going at it until you end up with something you're happy with. There we go. Now I want a bit more colour in here, so I'm actually going to go in just with the brush directly onto the actual effect. This purple scarf, I think just needs a little bit more. See, and if you don't blend it in too well, you kind of end up with slightly more texture. So I'm doing a little bit there, but not an awful lot, just to give it a bit more interest. And she is looking quite good, I think, with her pink. But I am just going to dot just to create more of an effect. There we go. And the shoes again, I'm just going to go over that side. there we go. That's pretty much coloured. So you can see we've gone from stamped card with no colour in under 30 minutes to completely coloured. I mean, if you wanted to, you could flatten this out just by going in a little bit more, but I actually quite like it with a little bit more texture. So I'm not going to even that out too much. There you go. So simple colouring. Hopefully people found that useful. Check out my YouTube channel if you want to see other videos. There are technique videos like this one where I'm just sort of focusing in on one aspect of card making. But there are also videos on there where I do a whole card from start to finish in one video so you can see the whole process. But hopefully between the two different playlists of different types of videos, you might find something helpful that helps you in your card making journey. So anyway, thanks for watching, and apologies it's not the usual quality, but as I said, I'm on holiday in Spain. It's the day after Boxing Day and it's all a bit chaotic. But anyway, there you go. Okay, thanks a lot. Cheers. If you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.